unfortunately, people are possibly deceived again, and people may get some asthmatics, or people with heart disease may have some troubles later, because tiny glass pieces can come down and you breathe it in those areas where they do have clouds, but there are many places where they don't. So when they put all the airports, I think it was about 30 airports, they put them down in Europe, the question is this real? Did they have to do it? How come Lufthansa could fly and some others, and they had no problems? So
when you talk about deception or people have been deceived, you know, it just there's a bell ring in my mind, and it's called NATO. Because when we look at NATO, the chief of NATO today is Anders Fogh Rasmussen. He used to be the Danish Prime Minister. And we have had a lot going on since 9/11 in Denmark, where people have been suing Anders Fogh Rasmussen and so. It was just in last month, it was in the Supreme Court in Copenhagen. The Supreme Court said, no, the people are not allowed to sue Anders Fogh Rasmussen. So they make like a technical error that people are not allowed to sue him. And it was quite, you can say, the court case had been going on for years. And then, you know, then he left for NATO, so like out of the picture. But he has been lying and lying and lying. And this is not just my assumptions. It's obvious because it has.
So you mean it can be proven legally? It can be
proven because he has
I don't know about that. Yeah.
For 2003, that we were certain that they had mass destruction weapons, atomic weapons in Iraq and so. And he said we never said it. And when the documents came up, it said it 11 times. You know, 11 times. You know.
Really?
Yeah, and it's just been a huge lie. And also we had the Downing Street memo from Tony Blair in England, where it clearly said, you know, it was that with Afghanistan. It's all, you can say it's a deception, it's a betrayal, because the elite, as you talk about, is having another agenda, you can say. So actually, I think we should ask ourselves: is anything to do with NATO? We just have to, I think, flip it all around, because if the chief of NATO he's a notorious liar, you can say, because he has been lying and lying and lying in Denmark. I have been following him since 2003 until 2009.
Well, if all this is true, so then yet people can't take him to court. So this is interesting.
Yeah.
But about NATO, I think I'm very worried, because in Norway, and I live in Norway, it was stated 2007 by the chief of the Army, Navy, Air Force, that in an official report, the annual report of the military, that if Russia attacks northern Norway, NATO is not going to help, and Americans are not coming to help. Now that is against the NATO's 5th paragraph, that if somebody gets attacked in a NATO country, all the others come and help. So I thought that was very strange. And if that would happen, so of course then they would come from the east through Finnish Lapland, through northern Sweden to Finnmark, which is a NATO country. Sweden and Norway are not NATO countries, and I think that's food for thought. Why is that? I asked in a civil military annual meeting, where our then Foreign Minister Ilkka Kanerva was giving a very good lecture. Actually, he had just been to Bodø, to northern Norway on a official visit, and at that time this news went out in all the papers in Norway that Americans and NATO is not coming to help Norway if Russia attacks. And I said, you know, what did he think of it, or was there discussion about it? And you know what his comment was? He said that it's regrettable that the issue came out in the papers. The meaning would have been that people should be kept in ignorance. They should not know about all these plans. And if you think of Iran, and Russia supports Iran, I wouldn't be surprised if Russia supports Iran. What is going to happen in northern parts of Scandinavia if Russia is there and attacking NATO? So there's a lot to think about for people, and we unfortunately do not get the correct information in mass media. So everybody should start thinking themselves. They should, see that 1 and 1 is 2.
Yeah.
But if they don't, they are in total ignorance, because mass media gives also a lot of disinformation.
I think, because I've often said to people, I think it's so important that, if we change the scenario totally and build in a new kind of rule, that everything we have been presented with through the medias, through outside sources, we should just start by saying, okay, I have to research it myself, I have to find out what the truth is, because we cannot count on anything. We can only count on ourselves, really, when we think of it in this situation. So people should start, flipping it all around and see, what? But can they do that? There's been conditioning going on for years, attacks on the human psyche, all the manipulation, all the propaganda.
Yes, and people are suppressed, and many people say, well, what can I do? It's the big boys, ruling the world. What can I do? And again, I say, use your brain capacity, use your energy, use your telepathic capacity. It was interesting. I was at Monroe Institute in Virginia many years ago. That was really interesting. And I know they are teaching both military courses and civilian courses to get out of body. And Bob Monroe was alive at that time. Now he's on another dimension, and I think it's his daughter and others are dealing with the same things, the courses. And there came a man, I think his name was actually Jacques Lebel. He said that we were sitting in a room, and he said he had just come from Brussels, from an OECD meeting. And I was just a visitor, so I was just, looking with big eyes. And what was he doing there? I asked him. You know what he said? He said, I was influencing the thoughts of the chairman of the meeting. And I was flabbergasted at that time. It was 30 years ago. I knew nothing about these things. Influencing the thoughts at night. Yes, because if there is a vote, so of course, if it's really 50-50, so the chairman's vote wins who the chairman votes for. And they were teaching people to do this, to influence their decisions, political decisions. I think that is incredible. And people don't know this. And then all of a sudden, he realized that I'm not, one of them. I was just visiting after they had been saying, a woman from Lithuania had told, I asked why was she there? I don't know if she was working there or just visiting or what. She said, if you have seen your child during the war, that Nazis took my child from the feet and smashed the head on the wall, you work against them. I couldn't say a word. And then she continued that we have done just, when Jacques Lebel came, so we have just found a fantastic situation. We were able to, a group of 12 is a very important number, we were able to dematerialize with our energy an Israeli rocket. I sat there and I thought, I'm listening to fairy tales. These people really believe they can do that. But why not? But if that is true, what I found out and heard, think if you can dematerialize an Israeli rocket by a group of 12 people who concentrate, you can do anything. And if the world's population would now really, concentrate on not having the war in Iran.
Yeah, focusing on love, focus on peace.
Exactly, yeah. Peace and love and unity.
Yeah.
We could do it. We could win. But we'll see. It depends on each of us. Yeah. And that's the whole point. We think that they and they. No, it depends on me and you and everybody. Yeah. If we even give the drop of our energy. So all these make the energy ocean that can change the world.
Yeah. So we start today, or we already began. But,
I think a lot of people have started in so-called New Age groups. They use a lot of energy and meditation. So the start is there, but we have to continue.
Super. Thank you very much.
Thank you.